Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It is Tuesday, September 17th. This is Anything Goes Podcast. This is Chris, and of course, it's Jimmy.
What's up, Chris? Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting Tuesday.
Man, well, coming down to the wire and everything, yeah, there's a lot going on as we progress on.
I think today's officially less than 50 days until the election.
Yep.
Now, I say it's less than 50 days to the election, but it's probably like 53 days until we have any election results.
Does that make any sense? Is that really what's going to happen? I mean,
Well, it'll be interesting to see because, the same counties. So there's a county in Georgia. Is it DeKalb County? I think DeKalb County is the one. The last two presidential elections has taken like 3 days or 4 days or something. I think they're typically the last. Like for whatever reason, that county just cannot get their shit together.
yeah, it doesn't
Well,
make a
actually,
whole lot of sense.
they have their shit together.
Where? What?
I said maybe they do actually have their shit
Oh.
together. It's just that's how long it takes to do what they need to do.
It does, well, just plain doesn't make sense that it would even take that long. I don't understand why across the board we're not all pushing to encourage much more legitimate election process.
No. Well,
Everybody,
I mean,
they
this is
know
the
it works in their
problem,
favor.
with allowing mass amounts of mail-in voting as opposed to the like absentee ballot shit that we used to have, where you'd have, maybe 1,000 or a couple thousand in bigger counties of absentee ballots for very specific reason, as opposed to now anybody who wants to mail in their ballot ahead of time. Yet the counties have also made rules, or the states have rules that say you can't start counting those ballots, until the election is over. So you have all the people who voted day of election, and then when you get done counting those, then you can start opening mail-in ballots, which, as we saw in the last election, some counties got 4, 5, and 600,000 mail-in ballots that couldn't even start counting until 8, 9 o'clock at night on election night.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, this will be an interesting election to watch over time, but we know exactly how it's going to play out in the sense that Trump's going to probably have a dominant lead all day and all evening, and then we're just going to be speculating all day whether or not all the pouring in votes are gonna be enough to take over the win, and no lead will be safe. It will
right.
be he could have a 75-25 lead, and it would not be safe when it comes to mail-in ballots. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be that. So if it's close at all, if it's like 51-49 or anything like that, it's pretty much over for Trump. Like
Yeah.
even if he's up by a couple percent in the evening, it's he's done. So yeah, I think we know that there's just going to be, it's guaranteed to be a late surge of blue votes that come in. So just, is it going to be enough to overcome? But I think it is going to look like a dominant showing out the gate from Trump.
Yeah.
But that's not going to mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that there wouldn't be any shenanigans because of how much in the spotlight those types of things are going to be. But
Well, I don't think it's necessarily going to be like the shenanigans. It's not going to be, oh, these ballots mysteriously showed up out of nowhere. It's just going to be that surge of
yeah,
mail-in votes.
yeah,
Because just like we highlighted before, that Trump won 50 states in in-person voting, and Biden won 50 states in mail-in voting.
Yeah.
So that clear separation is gonna play out the same way with Kamala. It's absurd though. Like, as we're getting there, and I'm just gonna continue to talk about it for the next 50 days. So just settle in. But everybody who's like feeling this sense of refreshed energy and excitement that there's a younger generation of leadership coming in, and it's a woman of color and all this and that, like, are you completely delusional, which we think you are, about to the last 4 years? Like, that nothing's going to change. We're only going to perpetually get worse and worse from it's the same system that's been in place the last 4 years. So why why do you think that is changing by voting for this? Yes, she's much more competent. Yes, she can speak a lot better. Yes, she's not suffering from dementia, but it's still the same old system.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you paid any attention today, but she did her interview with I think it's I don't know, some sort of, group of black journalists in Pennsylvania organization. The same one Trump sat down with a month ago, where as soon as Trump sat down, the first question he got asked was, "You said all this racist shit. Why should black people vote for you?" And then the first question to her today was like, some softball,
Yeah,
question.
like that's how the media goes.
Yeah.
That's how they're
Well, I will say that, anybody who objectively watched that, I mean, it was Kamala Harris at her absolute norm.
Yeah.
Didn't answer any of the damn questions, even when they pushed back on her, which they did a couple of times. Like, one of the questions was, you talk about an assault weapons ban, and you talk about what are those? What are the other things they always talk about? Background checks, universal background checks. And the question was, you talk about those things, but 60% of crime is committed with handguns. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do to, stem, handgun violence? And she went right into well, nobody needs an assault weapon and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, but that wasn't the question. She's like, well, that's all part of universal background checks. Like, what the fuck kind of answer is that? Like, one, anybody who knows anything about, oh no, and then she said, well, we need to close the gun show loophole. Where the fuck has that been for the last 4 years? And by the way, anybody who knows anything about this kind of stuff, the gun show loophole only accounts for like 0.3% of gun sales in a year in the United States. So that 0.3%, the guns, do you know what the loophole is?
Well, I know what they think it is, but it's not. But the way it's projected, I don't know what it is, because the way it's projected is that you can forego the background check by just going and buying a gun from the gun show. But that's not true.
In a sense, it is. If you and I were in a state that allowed us to go to a gun show and just sell our firearms, we wouldn't be required, because it's considered a person-to-person sale. It's not an FFL. In Maryland, we have to do it now. But I'm saying in a lot of states, you don't. If you're not a firearms dealer, you're not required to do a background check to sell your own personal firearms. So that's the gun show loophole.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why it's so low, because the vast majority of people that are at a gun show are dealers, and they have to perform background checks.
Exactly. But they never say that. And it's obvious that the people asking the questions don't understand that either.
Yeah, it's just the talking point.
Right. So, but that was her answer on it. I was like, okay, you asked the question, legit question. because that is where most of gun crime comes from, is handguns. You pushed back when she didn't answer it, but then she still didn't answer it, and they just moved on to another topic. Like they didn't even, so either they're very ignorant on the topic, which is a very realistic take on it, because most of these talking heads on TV, just like most of these talking head politicians, has absolutely no idea or absolutely no clue about firearms or even about the laws that are already on the books. They say universal background check. There's already a fucking background check. I don't know what throwing the word universal in front of it does, because everybody is already required to do this when they purchase a firearm through a firearms dealer. Like I said, it's like 0.3% of firearms that are purchased from from an individual to an individual. So that definitely is not even a blip on the radar.
Right.
And so it's obvious that they just have absolutely no clue. And of course, the sheeple on the other side, on the Democratic side, none of them have a fucking clue either. So they just jump right along with it, and they have no. And God, my God, try to explain that to them. Try to explain to them why that is such a stupid take on guns and how the process of purchasing guns. I had one tell me that I can walk into a gun shop today, and I guarantee you they're not going to make me fill out paperwork, and they'll just let me leave there with the gun. I'm like, really? I'm like, where's this gun store? Because I've been to gun stores in a lot of different states.
Yeah, do it, bud. Good luck.
And I've never had one that just said, yeah, sure, here you go.
Nope, that's not a thing.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, bad day for P. Diddy. Or what else did he go by? What were his other? Diddy.
The Diddler.
The Diddler. That's what they're calling him now.
Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy. That's it.
Puffy Combs.
He's gonna be puffing tonight in a fucking jail cell.
Yep. There's somebody that's not above the law. Interesting. Yeah. Right?
I wonder if he uttered the words "I support Trump" or something in the last couple of months, and that's why I was saying. But no, I doubt it. But I think that there's just so much that or so many civil complaints or civil litigation that's come out against him over the last couple of years, where the federal government really had no choice but to actually go look at what he's been doing. And if you get a chance, you can read the indictment. I mean, what they're alleging that this guy did or orchestrated, it makes Epstein look like fucking Mother Teresa. I mean, it's bad.
Really? No, yeah. I don't know how significant or deep it went, but it's also not something that is well hidden. There's plenty of people that were aware of it.
Yeah. So, well, again, we go back to like the Epstein list. Now that Diddy's been arrested and he's been charged, and potentially facing at trial life in prison, what kind of deals is old Diddy going to cut to try to mitigate some of that?
Well, he's certainly capable. He's a powerful dude with a lot of money. So it must be pretty significant. If he's that bad of a dude, good on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, from what the indictment says, and, if you're under 18, you don't have to listen to this part because it's kind of graphic, but apparently he would pick up these or fly, even to the point of fly in from other parts of the country, these basically sex workers. He had what he called freak parties or freakouts is what they were called. And he would have these girls basically drugged, and then basically just abused sexually, physically, mentally, verbally for days upon days upon days, to the point where they had to give them IVs and stuff to keep them going. And they had to give them drugs and ketamine and all kinds of shit to keep them going. And then basically just dump them off and basically just take them back to wherever they were, beaten and bruised and hospitalized and all kinds of shit.
Wow. No, that's terrible. That's awful.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not true. Honestly, like that seems sick and crazy, and I hope that's way overblown. I hope that's not true. But what's more likely going to happen is it probably is true, and we're going to see more celebrity type people, elite type people come out and say, "Oh yeah, I was aware," or yeah, he was having these parties, and it's all going to be like, "Well, why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you tell anybody?"
I was scared.
Or is there going to be another a Diddy list of other people that are accomplices?
Yeah.
Also involved. Who else is involved? There's got to be a lot of people. It's not just him and his posse.
Yeah. Well, that's my guess is that's going to be his leverage to try to mitigate some of this, or to at least get him into a position where he can plead guilty to maybe lesser charges and not serve as much jail time by giving other people up.
Right. So is he gonna get Epstein,
Well,
and not so he can't talk? Are we gonna even see that before he's able to cut a deal? Is he gonna
yeah.
disappear? That's well, I was gonna say maybe that's why he wants to be protected, and but obviously, if you're in jail, you're not protected like Epstein. So,
Well, and like I said, the judge, he was arraigned today, and the judge denied him bail, so he's in jail until his trial starts. As of right now, they deemed him a flight risk, which they should.
yeah.
And apparently, I don't know if you remember, but they did those raids, I think, in like late March at his house in California and his house in Miami. And apparently, they have thousands upon thousands of hours of video of these things that he did to these women.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So, rip the diddler. Jimmy, I do have some bad news for you, though.
What's that?
I'm not sure. I'm glad you're sitting down, and I want to make sure I get this right. So let me make sure. I get it right before I tell you.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle it.
I know it's gonna be hard. Howard Stern says he hates anybody who says that they're supporting Trump in this election. So, Jimmy, Howard Stern hates us.
Yeah, I think I gave up on that dude. He lost it in 2020, and he's never been the same since. I mean,
he still wears a mask.
Yeah, well, it didn't keep him from getting this Trump derangement syndrome, because he's certainly got that disease, and he can't get rid of it. There's still so many people out there that are just like completely delusional, and they're so just. It blows my mind at how infatuated they are with Trump and have so much hatred, when it's funny because all they do is preach acceptance and tolerance and love and all this stuff, but they're the ones that are spreading the hate. So luckily we're seeing a lot more of these celebrities that aren't like that, and a lot of them are actually coming out, or they're either coming out or they're staying pretty silent this time around, because they're seeing it. They're seeing the hypocrisy that the crazy far leftists are involved in. So,
well, and the great thing is, and what kind of ties into this is the moderator of the Harris-Trump debate, David Muir, ABC News host, the guy who did it. Apparently, his ratings for his show since the debate have just taken a fucking nosedive, because everyone recognizes what a sham debate it was. Well, apparently it says David Muir's nightly newscast takes hit after controversial debate performance. So, I mean, people are obviously paying attention.
That's kind of surprising. You would think it would just be like a surge because he's more recognizable, but I don't think I never knew the guy beforehand.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, not that ABC's numbers were probably fucking great anyway, but
yeah,
because I don't remember the last time I watched any news on ABC, NBC, uh, any of the actual network news.
I am kind of curious. I know they've been called out a lot since the debate, but what their response is, because the insanity of how one-sided that was.
Yeah.
They were not only only fact checking Trump, but they were like legit debating him. At least that guy was.
Yeah.
He was like involved in the debate with him.
Right.
So what? But the fact checking piece was so one sided,
Mhm.
like not even close.
Well, it was 100% one sided. Yeah.
100%. So what is their response to that? It just blows my mind.
You know why they won't give one? Because they don't have to, because nobody's going to push them to give any justification for it. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say is their performance and what they did was expected of them
Yeah.
by the other news agencies. I mean, the expectation is we're here to help her defeat him. I mean, we know without a doubt that the mainstream media is the PR wing of the Democratic Party. It has been for at least 4 years, and probably further back to when Hillary was running for president. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's no great mystery, and he's never going to have to explain it because he did exactly what the expectation of his colleagues. He did exactly what they expected him to do, and what he was basically probably told to do.
Yeah, well, I don't. Trump's not doing himself any favors. I don't think he's playing the PR game very well. The fact that he hasn't, so he declined a second debate.
Yes,
I mean, it may not be 100%, but Kamala wanted the second debate and he declined.
I, I
When,
think the issue was she was never going to say yes to doing a debate on Fox News.
but that's where I'm going with it, because so rather than just simply declining and acting like you're afraid of looking bad again, or looking worse or whatever, call that out, force that, be like, yeah, sure, absolutely, I will. We're gonna do it on a different network this time. On a, I mean, I guess I know Fox is traditionally seen as conservative, but when it
Mm,
comes to a debate, I think they've had what's that guy, Chris Wallace?
yeah,
They had him on there do that before. I mean, they're gonna get pushback, but
yeah. And
like,
Chris Wallace, by the way, now works for CNN or MSNBC. So
well, yeah, no surprise. I mean, he was, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. But still, like, Fox put him up knowing that,
right,
and it would be nice to have them on a one-sided conservative debate stage, just to say, okay, look, I was happy and willing to go on whatever network under whatever rules that you set out, and now it's your turn, and we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be under my terms this time,
yeah.
and at least
It would be Trump's third debate.
there's normally at least 3 debates.
It's traditionally three.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I mean, not like he owes or anything, but I think that he missed some opportunities there during the debate. I think he could have called things out, or been more focused on the basic issues rather than responding to some of the nonsense that she said. Um, but he couldn't help it, and that's unfortunate. Yeah, I think he didn't play the game as well as he did with Biden. Even just the fact that he refused to look at her
yeah,
and she stared him down the whole time. And I normally take that as a major sign of somebody who's not comfortable dealing with their opponent. If they can't look at them and address them directly, then they generally have an apprehension, and they're not confident in what they're saying. There's a whole interview when what's the guy, Trevor Noah, that was
Hmm.
on like the Comedy Central channel, whatever. He had his nightly show. He brought on Tommy Lahren, female conservative commentator, and the whole time he's interviewing her, and they're sitting at the same desk, he
Yeah.
would not even glance in her direction barely, and she's staring him down the whole time, and it was just like very obvious, very clear that you're not comfortable and you don't really believe what you say, and even though you're trying to kind of demonstrate that you're willing to talk to anybody, you didn't, you couldn't, you had no confidence in what you're saying. So
Mm.
I thought that was very clear. So I think Trump missed some opportunities there.
All right. Well, like I said, we're less than 50 days away from the election, 53 to 55 days from the result. Um, and we'll see what happens between now and Friday. I mean, they could still do a third debate. I mean, they could do it at the end. I just think that I think that what would happen is Trump would say, "Okay, I'll do one, but it's gonna be on Fox," and
Sure.
then she's gonna say, "Absolutely not."
Well, but
I'd
that
rather,
would be
right?
that'd be much more telling. I think that would look better. Um, by saying, "Yeah, sure, I'm absolutely willing," but why are you refusing? It's not like I didn't back down when you
Mm,
said it had to be on this network or whatever. Um, so that's only fair. And so
yeah.
I think even the moderate people out there, even the reasonable traditional Democrat voters who are voting, they're just voting D because that's what they traditionally do, but they're generally reasonable people. They're just not very politically inclined. I think there's a big portion of that demographic, and they can be swayed.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that wake up once if somebody actually puts the politics in their face and demonstrates why it involves their daily life. I think that they recognize that hypocrisy, and it doesn't take too much. So
Yeah.
I think those little opportunities need to be taken advantage of, and just to solidify this election. It's weird. It's weird, man. Seeing people like Bill Maher. I saw he just did an interview with Jordan Peterson,
Hmm.
and he's talking about how confident he is that Kamala did such a great performance in the debate that he's confident that that's going to win her the election, and he's willing to put, I guess, a large amount of his money in favor of that. Even though he's like actively calling out the crazy progressive left as much as he can, he's just so much against Trump, and
Yeah.
so his general opinion is, while there's a whole bunch of crazies on the left, there's a even far craziers on the right, and I don't know where he gets that from. I don't
No,
get.
that's
They're so
just
they're,
natural liberal in him.
yeah, they're just fixated on a few things. They're
Yeah.
fixated on the fact that, oh, he tried to overturn an election and tried to uh, not, and get rid of the um, uh, um, Constitution, and stuff like that. So I don't know why they're stuck on those kinds of things. That's part of that TDS stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to see that that's what the mentality is kind of from the left right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we got a couple months left of it. We'll see what happens between today and Friday, and who knows? We'll be back on Friday with.
Yeah, we didn't mention the other assassination attempt, which
We'll get to that. I think that there's probably there's a lot that can be almost a whole show in its own.
yeah, but that happened. Yeah,
Just
so
just with the information that's come out about the nut job that tried
yeah,
to
but
do.
it's a different vibe now. It was like people were rallying during the last one, and this time it's like a different vibe, and it's not given that surge like it did. Not that that's what it's for, but Man, I'm so thankful nobody was hurt in this case. Anyway, yeah.
Well, we'll have more info on Friday, I'm sure. Some more and more keeps coming out about this guy every day, and man, it's he definitely a crazy one. But we'll talk about it on Friday.
Now, I'll be out of town. I'll be out of town this weekend, unfortunately. So,
All right, I'll talk about it on
yeah,
Friday.
that's cool. I'll give you some notes.
All right, y'all have a good week. Jimmy, you're gonna miss another weekend of hunting?
Yeah, I can't even go out Friday morning.
Ugh,
Sad.
it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I'm missing it for sure. Anyway,
All right, have a good one.
later.